Hi, it's you and Ellery here making bonsai in Australia, and in this video I'm giving an update on my Chamaecyparis Boulevard, or my False Cypress. So in this channel I bring you along with me on my journey with my bonsai, and I first did my initial repotting on this. So I bought it as just a very young tube stock seedling a couple years ago, and I did the first steps at turning it into a bonsai a year and a half ago now. So I will leave a link to that video up above so you can check it out if you like. And look, I have been trying to do videos lately on a lot more developed, thicker trunk bonsai, but given that this channel is really targeted at people really getting in and new to their bonsai journeys, look, you can't always have more developed specimens. So I made this a year and a half ago, and you can see it's starting to get relatively root bound. So there's still a little bit more room where the roots could grow, but I did have to use this to get it out of the pot regardless. So what I want to do is, because I want a lot more vigor and thickness in the trunk on this, and growing it in bonsai pots, look, it's good for refinement and it gives you, that typical bonsai look, which is good if you're at that stage. But because I've got a lot more well-developed bonsai now, what I want to do is actually repot this into a training pot, just so we can get a lot more vigor in the next year or two, hopefully get a much thicker trunk, and I'll have a bit more to work with. So I'll start working on this now. Now, whilst I am repotting it, I also just want to start doing a little bit of refining with the branches as well, just to get rid of ones that I don't want. So there's a couple internal ones here that are on this branch that are just kind of sticking up, so straight up on the inside of that branch, so I can get rid of those. And I'm also just going to use a little bit of second-hand wire just to come in here and wire these branches down. So anchoring to that one first, just using the typical 2-branch principle. And I'm also just trying to make sure that I'm not catching any branches when I'm wiring it. Okay, so wire those down a little bit more horizontally. So there's this big giant branch here which I could use, but I'd essentially be wiring it down to more or less the same kind of position. Whereas if I just let this grow, all of these branches, they'll come out a lot bigger, similar to this. And if I eliminate that and just prune that back to the main branch, what that does is it also means that I'll be getting a little bit more taper, albeit the fact that I want this to grow a lot thicker, so that little bit of taper won't make much difference, but everything helps. And as well as that, I found that these grow quite well from cuttings, so I'll be able to grow that. Similar kind of thing over in this branch, just getting rid of branches I don't need. So that one was kind of poking back in. And there's just a little tiny branch coming out of the inside of the trunk there, which I didn't need. And again, could be wiring these ones down. Yeah, a little bit undecided about these ones, so there's a little bit less kind of taper and bud back on this branch, so there's less for me to work with along that way. So I kind of do want to keep this to a degree, but then at the same time, yeah, it's still not, it's just sticking up right from the center of this branch. So I think I'm gonna just get rid of it and hope that something else buds back. These ones, I might just pinch that a bit shorter, bit shorter. Then another one sticking straight up. I get rid of this part that's just sticking up, so at least that part's going out a little bit more horizontally. Just clean up this branch a little bit so there's more for me to work with. Just a little tiny one coming out from the trunk at the same spot. Then a little branches coming out along the length that I don't want. Just going to get in the way of the wire. Alright. So again, 2-branch principle, so just anchoring it down to this one, and then wiring this. Now these are really thin branches, so it doesn't really need to be anything fancy, just enough to hold it in position and preferably not break it off at the base of the trunk. So really basic wiring, just to hold it down slightly. I think it's all a little bit long this branch too, so just going to prune this back a little bit more into profile, just pinching it. Hopefully get more ramification there now. So yeah, that's starting to look a little bit better. There's a couple branches there that I might leave just to see if they kind of, you know, come through in future. Just tidy up another couple there, and then we'll kind of come to the apex, which kind of want to keep again in profile. So might just pinch this back. There's this little one here that's just dipping down. So that'll be about it. That's more than enough for the pruning. Got rid of quite a bit. It is quite a slow growing tree as well. So now, start with the repotting. So just get rid of this draining mesh. And try and keep this moss if I can. There's a few roots that have kind of come up from the soil to hide around in the moss, so that's kind of interesting, which is kind of why I've got the moss on a lot of my plants. It really works well to keep that moisture in. Just trying to rake out this, the edges where they're all matted together. Seems like otherwise I've got quite a good root structure at the edges there. So I might just try and rinse this out. Okay, so yeah, quite an impressive root ball here. So I'll try and rake it out a little bit more just to hopefully get more of the radial facing roots, but I might just cut around the edges just to give me a nice little, get more ramifications. So they, hopefully this will get rid of a lot of the edge roots, which were really kind of wrapping around in a circle, making it hard for me to kind of rake it out. Way easier now. So final little prunes, so just getting a nice flat root ball here. So that's quite a nice root ball there, and you can see that the base of the trunk where it had been submerged in the soil, it's actually nice, and it's actually a lot thicker there. So I'll be wanting to expose a little bit of that with time. I've got this. So I use the same soil. It's very good soil for this kind of tree. I got that in there. Now I'm just putting the last of this soil in on top. And this, so I just reused the original soil from the pot on there in the bottom of this pot. And then I've got new bonsai soil just up the top here. So I do have a video where I've actually made this bonsai soil, so I'll leave a link up above so you can check that out. But yeah, it is, this new soil is very dry, so I will just want to try and get some, it's going to be soaking up all of the soil, all of the moisture from those roots into the soil. So I'm just going to need to make sure I get a nice amount of water on this as soon as possible. But at the moment I'm just packing this down, trying to get as much of that soil in between the roots as possible, just so there aren't too many crazy air holes that'll just end up with having your roots drying out and dying. So try and preserve that nice root mass as much as possible. Just going to put a little bit of water on there for now, just to try and keep it a little bit more healthy. Big chunk over there, and this will just make sure that the moisture is getting kept in top of that soil, just so the top of that soil doesn't dry out too fast and end up with all those roots drying out. Just a nice little protective barrier. Alright, so this is my update to my Chamaecyparis Boulevard or False Cypress. So yeah, just putting it into a larger draining pot, so over time it can get a lot more bigger, and hopefully when I repot this in a year or two's time from now, I might be able to put it back into a bonsai pot with a nice thick trunk. So look, I hope you enjoyed this video or took something from it. If you have, then please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so that you're the first to see my next videos. Look, thanks for your time today. Enjoy it. Bye.